Escape the Matrix, enter the metaverse, and reach for nirvana with pranayama. Today my guest is Raj Khedun, here to teach us his 3-3 metaverse breathing method and how it can clear that mental static, expand the mind, raise your chakras, and release you from your psychological struggles. Feel free to breathe along with us or simply sit back, listen, and relax. This is my conversation with Raj Khedun. You have a breathing technique, the 3-3 metaverse breathing method, if that's correct. I guess we're going to practice it probably, but yeah, first can you tell me about what this is?
Absolutely. I'll have to give you a bit of a Genesis backstory. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I was 3 years old and my mother takes me to nursery for the first time in London. And the first two books I pick up from the nursery library was one book about dinosaurs and one book about planets. Believe it or not, I can remember those things as if it were yesterday. They're that heavily imprinted on my mind that they guided pretty much everything I did in life. And the dinosaurs, why? Evolution. Evolution from one species, more advanced. How do you get to becoming a human? And then studying the dynamics of a human's consciousness is what got me, addicted or compelled or obsessed with this field. And then the planets, all about astrology, astronomy, understanding how these other celestial bodies are affecting human minds and energy. Because you've got to ask yourself the question, Michael. There are other planets there, for sure. Mars, for example. When you look on YouTube, you've got robots on Mars right now looking what's going on there. There's nothing on it. There's no water, there's no plant, there's no beings that we can see. But why is the planet there? You could ask yourself that question, right? So with things like that, I started to realize that, hang on a minute, there's something going on here. Just because we can't see it with our human eyes doesn't mean there isn't a purpose for that planet. You follow?
Yeah, I follow, but also, does there need to be a purpose for Mars? Can things just exist and they're there? But anyway, continue.
Well, it's good. It's good. And you've got planets like Saturn, Jupiter, and everything's very mathematically organized. They're on their own rotational axes. They spin at exactly the same speed all the time, no variations. And they go around the sun, perfectly calculated every single day, every single year, day in, day out, year in, year out, without fail. To me, when I started thinking about this, I thought, hang on a minute. There is an amazing intelligence that has organized all this. And it sure wasn't me. I'm not that smart, right? Think about your brain. Did you make it?
I don't think so. Possible, but I don't think so.
Well, I, for one, with all humility, can say I did not make my brain. I'm not that smart to make something like that. My organs, heart, lungs, spleen, intestines, I did not make that. Yeah, until you come to that epiphany moment, it doesn't happen for everyone, for sure not. But when you get that epiphany, you start to realize that, hang on a minute, there is a higher, bigger intelligence than me who has some awesome power running this game, this matrix, this thing. But you have to get out of your own way. You have to get out of your own mental clutter to be able to have that epiphany and that realization.
Yeah, but do we need to have that epiphany? And how does this tie into the breathing and other things you're doing?
Because if I ask you a question, I could say to you, "Who are you? Who are you?"
That's a very confusing question, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't know. Did you know where you came from? Where are you going? Why are you here? What happens when you die?
Now, how can I know though? I don't know how to know.
Exactly. But don't you want to know as a human being, as a soul, as a spirit, as an entity? Don't you want to know those things?
I wish I could know. I want to know, and I'm trying to know, but I know there's like deep limits on how far I can know. But it sounds like what you're saying is you've sort of traveled further down that path, and you've discovered things that I thought were undiscoverable, but apparently I was wrong.
Well, I was wrong as well because I thought I knew a lot. When I was born in London, I learned from the UK school system. What happened was I went to India when I was 18, very obnoxious, very arrogant. I can say that with all humility now. And when I went to India, I met some yogis, very high level, high power. They call them avatars. And when you're in the presence of beings like that, completely shatters all the small little ideas that you thought were so correct when they're completely wrong, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you tell me more about that? It's hard for me to imagine exactly right now.
Absolutely. You see, you have an electromagnetic field around you, whether you realize it or not. It's there. You know, sometimes when you take your jumper off your hair in the morning and you hear that crickle, crickle electrical thing, static electricity, the ions in the atmosphere might charge certain parts of your body more than others. But we are essentially not flesh and bone. We are actually electromagnetic. 90% of us is electromagnetic. And when you go to see these beings, their electromagnetic field is so huge, it extends for kilometers beyond their body. And it influences people to take up a higher vibration of thoughts, right? That's called brain evolution, mental evolution, or higher consciousness. So that's what happened to me. I was in the presence of these great avatars and their overwhelming unconditional love, which they have for humanity, just completely washed my brain. And I thought I knew a lot. I knew nothing about who I am, why I'm here, why am I born in London, why do I have these parents, why am I Hindu, whatever. I knew nothing. I had to meet these avatars and go back to zero and start my spiritual training.
Yeah. You said they had this unconditional love. What was that? What were they doing?
Being, just being,
Just like looking at you in the eyes, and
whether they're looking at you or not, their energy, their presence,
you could just feel it.
totally, totally. And before that, my mind was like this
Very small.
in comparison, very small. And after I went there, like the difference is night and day.
Yeah, yeah. But what can we take away from this? How do we experience that, or what's not? I don't want to say what's the point, because what's the point sounds like a negative sort of statement. But yeah, what's the point?
Okay. The point is, once you have this experience, it's very addictive. You'll want to have it all the time. So then you start to discipline your life to revolve around spiritual practices, including yoga, breathing, meditation, these kinds of things. That's where the breathing comes in. Because when you learn certain breathing techniques and do it over a period of time, it starts to change the dynamics and strength and bandwidth of your consciousness starts to open up.
Okay, so the fact that these yogis are doing these pranayama techniques and things, that's part of why they are the way they are. Of course, there's more than just the breathing, but that's part of how they got to where they are. Huge part of it.
Yes, yes. Because here's the secret. In the cosmological sense, it's not a secret. But in terms of the climate and time that we're in this year, it's 2025, we're still, there's a lot of struggle in humanity at the moment to understand, to evolve, to become more morally aligned and all that stuff. So breathing helps you to expand your mind by releasing endorphins in your brain, serotonin, dopamine, which are feel good, happy hormones, as well as activate the all important vagus nerve behind the throat, behind the face, and in the gut. Once you waken that up, you start to get into flow state. It's a very relaxing, gentle, effortless state of being.
Yeah, but it would depend on the how you're breathing, right? Whether you're inhaling or exhaling, and for how long, and all kinds of factors, right? Because breathing is not just breathing, right? There are different factors and sort of facets of breathing and different ways to breathe. So some breathing it might energize you or make you more kind of alert and increase things like, I don't know, dopamine and epinephrine and stuff, and others might calm you down and activate the parasympathetic side of things. Or maybe there's ways to kind of do both at the same time. But yeah, maybe you can get into some of those details. But if you're not interested in that, you just want to zoom out and talk about the wider universe, that's okay too.
Well, we can do both. In my day job, I'm actually a women's relationships coach. So I deal with women with a lot of stress, trauma, anxiety, depression, insomnia. So during the pandemic, I had so many stressed out women on my client list, which was just getting out of control. And they would message me constantly, send me WhatsApp messages. I get the WhatsApp trail between them and the guy, and they don't know what to say. They get flustered, ask me for suggestions every single step. And I thought, this is never going to work. So I was already doing yoga and meditation for 25 years. So I set about finding a method that anybody could do easily and effortlessly. And so after 7, 8 years of intense research and experimentation, we came across, we originated the 3-3 metaverse breathing method, which is a gentle, soft way to elegantly reduce stress and anxiety by 50 to 60% in 3 minutes or less. For insomnia, for people who have insomnia and sleeping disorders, they do this method, and within 30 to 90 seconds, they fall asleep.
Okay. Oh, what is the method?
Yeah, I'm going to show you. You kind of like, a lot of people practice Wim Hof. You heard of Wim Hof?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Have you tried that? And how did that go for you?
I've done it without the cold exposure. I haven't done it with the cold. It's energizing. It is calming, but for me, it's more energizing. It kind of gets me like awake. But it's a nice feeling. To be honest, I haven't done it much. I only tried it a couple times, and I did it on my own, so I might not have been doing it properly. But for me, it's very energizing. Not what I need, because I naturally am pretty energized. Like I'm kind of on that sort of manic side of the spectrum. I need to calm down. So for me, the Wim Hof method was not the best one for me, but it's useful depending on where you are in your day and your life and what you want to do. But maybe that's me. Everyone's gonna be different, or maybe not. But yeah, maybe we could talk about the Wim Hof method first, because you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, I mean, the Wim Hof method, it's great for helping people become more awake, to become more vigorous and more energized. And whether you want to do the cold exposure or not, in practice, most people do not like it. They just don't like it. They have to force themselves to do it. And if you have to force yourself to do something every time, you're going to eventually stop doing it. And the 3-3 method is different in the sense it's very soft and gentle. It's almost like opposite. And we've actually taught and trained a few of the Wim Hof coaches as well. And they're just very surprised at how quick and how easy the 3-3 is compared to the Wim Hof.
Does it produce similar effects, or how is that different?
It produces more of a homogeneous flow effect within 60 to 90 seconds.
And you're not in the cold, you're not getting uncomfortable, you're not doing these long breath holds, etc. What are you doing? What is 3-3? I can try to imagine 3-3. Something about inhalations, exhalations, the numbers of them. I don't know.
So, first of all, what we do, Michael, is we check the nostril flow. So, you block your right nostril and breathe out once through your left.
Okay, I breathe out with my left and kind of cover up my right nostril with my finger on the outside. Okay. I do both. One of each.
Yeah, you do.
Left, right.
Yeah. Is it 50-50 or is one open more than the other?
No, it's pretty 50-50. But then again, I talked to this lady, I interviewed this other person, and she was saying in the morning time, which it is morning here around sunrise, that it tends to be flowing out evenly 50-50, but that might be another thing. Maybe she's wrong. But if she's right, then that might be an explanation for why it's 50-50 right now. But I think you might have other ideas.
Yeah, possibly. It changes. In most humans, it changes constantly changes from left to right, right to left, and so on all the time.
Anyway, it's pretty 50-50. I'm not measuring it accurately. Of course, I don't have some kind of device like that, but I think your device tells me it's close to 50-50.
Okay, good. With your brother, you said he's got extreme bipolar.
Yeah, I didn't measure his breath though.
Yeah, if you check the nostril, you'll find, because I've treated a lot of bipolar people, you'll find that one nostril is open very drastically more open than the other side. The shift in the brain is very extreme from one side to the other every few minutes, keeps moving like that. So when you stabilize the nostril flow, they'll get a lot more calm, relaxed, and they're able to control it better.
I see. So if we can get our nostril flow more even, or at least shifting throughout the day, even like not only breathing through the right all day, which I don't imagine most people do that. There must be sort of a rhythm back and forth. But like you said, some people maybe with things like bipolar, schizophrenia, or perhaps even ADHD, these kinds of things, depression, there might be sort of an imbalance or not enough flow in one side or the other. That makes sense. And if we can get the cycle, flowing more smoothly again, then yeah, maybe we could balance out our brain better too. That makes sense. Yeah.
Because when the people that I've treated with bipolar, they usually had very extreme mood swings every 10 minutes. When I checked my nostril flow, it was 90-10 and then 90-10 the other way within 5-10 minutes. And that has accounted for the extreme irritability, extreme personality change, inability to get on with people, and getting divorced or separating if they're married. It can be quite, unpredictable, their behavior.
Yeah. I mean, if the brain is bipolar, then I mean, I guess the nose can be bipolar too, and the eyes can be bipolar, and it makes sense. You might be using one eye more than the other, or one nostril more than the other, because it's all kind of connected to the brain or the mind or whatever, right? So it does make sense.
It's not the brain, it's the energy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to find the word a common language for us to speak with. Energy is a good one. Okay.
Yeah. It's the energy which, if you can alter the cycle or the shift or the tone of energy, then you can shape the brain according to your energy flow.
Okay. And what specifically are we doing? Because it's nice I love the philosophy side of this and, kind of reframing our view of what we are in the universe and all these things. But what do we do? I want some actions too.
Yeah, we're going to do it right now. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, Michael, 1 is not feeling great, 10 is feeling amazing. Where would you say you sit on that scale right now?
Like 7 or something? 6 or 7? I don't know. I'm on vacation. Haven't been able to get a good sleep, just because of the environment and noise. And I woke up at 3 a.m. today to do another interview. So that could explain it. Too much coffee. This coffee here in Vietnam is amazing. And I don't usually drink it, but I'm drinking too much coffee. Eating too much bread, the banh mi's. So, I mean, there's explanations and maybe I don't need to do that. But yeah, right now I'm at like a 6.5 or something like that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good. So this 3-3 metaverse breathing method, okay, it's very soft. It's very gentle. It's very elegant. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to speed up anything. You don't have to worry about your belly breathing. You don't have to worry about your diaphragm. You don't have to worry about being a clavicular shoulder breather. You don't have to worry about any of that. So you completely relax. Okay. What you do is you have your chin perpendicular to the ground. So parallel. Yeah, perfect. And you're going to take in 3 inhalations through the nostrils like this.
So close my mouth and then I do 3 kind of quick sniffs. Does the speed or duration matter?
Just do what's relaxing and comfortable for you.
Do it feels good. Just do 3, however I want to do them. Okay.
Okay, so like this. Just follow this tempo for now, and then you'll see what fits you. So, sniff, sniff, sniff. And then,
So 3 exhalations out of the mouth. Yeah. Okay.
a longer exhale on the third one.
The third one's longer. So
There you go. Good. Good. All right. So. There you go. That's good. That's good. Keep it nice and gentle, soft, and we're both going to do it for 1 minute.
It's like I'm in swimming lessons again. Okay.
So now what we're going to do, you're going to keep your eyes closed, Michael, and just relax as much as possible. Don't worry about anything. Just relax completely. So when on the count of 3, we'll do it for 1 minute together. 3, 2, 1, and go. Relax, relax, slow down on the inhales, slow down on the inhales, too fast. Slow down a little bit. Just a few more times. Okay, and keep your eyes closed. Stop there. Keep your eyes closed and relax. Just relax as much as possible. And just relax. And just gently notice what's happening within. Just completely relax. And keeping your eyes closed, Michael, tell me what you notice and how you feel.
I mean, there's different things I notice. I notice like the cold on my skin, and I hear some sound outside, and so I guess I'm more in tune to my sensory environment, and my body, my interoception is turned on more too. My mind feels a bit more blank. It thinks it's feel a bit more blank, but also because of that blankness, I can notice this external world a little bit more too, along with this internal world. But the internal world's a bit blank, and the world out there is, it's waking up, but it's, I guess it's turning on both sides, the outside world and the inside world. But the inside world is a bit more quiet.
Did you feel your heart rate slow down a little bit, Michael?
I wasn't really tracking it, but I imagine it did. Probably. It feels so, but I wasn't tracking it. Yeah.
Just try to stay relaxed. The energy's moving around in flow. Now, did you notice the monkey minds or mental chatter decrease?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep. Good. Does that feel pleasant to you?
It does feel nice. Yeah, it is nice. For me, especially at first I was doing it kind of more aggressively, and I could hear the sounds of my breathing. I think part of it might have been the sound of my breath was distracting me. I didn't want to hear the and when I started to do it more gently and slowly, and when it became silent, it was quiet. I was just breathing without the sound distracting me or whatever. It might also been the speed, etc. That's when it started working. But when I was doing it with the sound, Like that was just like not fun for me. That was just stressful, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned to slow down the breathing through the nose because it was way too fast.
Yeah. Well, you were doing it with the sound. I was trying to copy you, but then when I stopped trying to copy you and just doing it my way, then like I thought maybe I was breaking the rules by like doing it too quietly. But then that's what started to work, and maybe there are no rules like that. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Perfect. Now, did you notice a kind of expansion of mind? You mentioned some perception, sort of heightened sense of perception. Do you notice a sense of mind growing kind of beyond the body a bit, a kind of expanded awareness?
Hmm. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I can think of it that way. I can sort of imagine my body and my mind being wider than where it is, like outside my body or whatever, out there in the world or whatever. But I imagine I could probably do that even without this breathing technique. But maybe that makes it easier to kind of feel more expansive. Sure. I don't usually do this exercise with or without the breathing technique. So
Yeah, good. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, you said you felt, I think, a 6, 6 or 7.
yeah, like 6.5, 7 if I'm lucky. Yeah.
How do you feel now?
A little bit better. I mean, still no higher than 8, just because, I mean, lack of sleep and too much caffeine and, the stress of travel, there's that. There's certain limits. Um, maybe an 8. Yeah, if I want to get to a 10, I'm just gonna have to get better sleep and, eat better, etc. I think. But you're gonna say, no, you can do it all with your breath. Well, I don't know. I can't.
Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, you only did this for 60 seconds, the first time you've ever done this, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you at how quickly this worked for you?
I don't know. I've tried other breathing techniques, like you mentioned. There's the Wim Hof method. Andrew Huberman has the physiological side that's even shorter. You could just do it for like 30 seconds, and it's actually quite similar to this. So I've done some of these things. Done other breathing techniques. I'm not too surprised that something could work in a minute. So like 6, but maybe for someone who's completely new to all breathing techniques, and it might be more surprised. But I'm like, maybe 7. It is particularly nice. I think that's also because my eyes are closed, though, and I don't usually close my eyes for so long. They're still closed right now. And I'm talking to you, getting a little nice little connection while I'm doing it together. So it's hard to isolate the variables, but yeah, I'm like a 6 or a 7. I'm not too surprised, to be honest.
Good. That's good. So, what you find happens is that this method, because it's soft and it's gentle, it's more accessible for more people. So we've tested it on children as young as 5 and with adults up to 85 years old. And it works very, very well across all different age ranges and demographics. And it's easy for people to remember because it's just 3-3.
Can you maybe clarify again the 3-3? Because when you were doing it before, you were doing it and like you could hear the sound, like it sounded quicker, it sounded sort of faster and more aggressive. But then you told me not to do that. You said to like do it more gently. So should there be the sound? Should it not be the sound? Are there certain rules to this of how to actually do it?
Yes, I mean that's a great question. And gentle and soft is best. I was just doing it so that people who are following, who are watching, who are listening can.
So they can hear it. Okay. It's more for the audience than for yourself. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So quiet is good, but just following the method in a rhythmical fashion for 60 seconds, 120 seconds, or 180 seconds, 1, 2, or 3 minutes really starts to compound the effect of the serotonin, dopamine, the endorphins, as well as the activation of the vagus nerve. This method does all 4 things in one smooth, easy, elegant motion.
Because we're doing the 3 inhales, which is kind of waking us up a bit and kind of energizing us, but then we're calming down with the exhales, especially that longer extended exhale at the end. And then we're doing it again, and we keep repeating. So it's like this running through the cycle. You're going from left to the right and going to both sides and keeping things flowing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're in the flow state? Do you feel in a calm, relaxed, flowing kind of state?
I mean, there are times when I'm more in flow, but I'm I'm pretty flowy. But I mean, I would be more so if I was doing something I'm really good at, or with playing with a person I feel really comfortable with, and in a great environment. There are things that make me more in flow, but I do feel on that flowy end. Yeah, yeah. But I'm sitting in my chair in a hotel room, so how much flow can it be just sitting here in my hotel room? But talking to you, I think that's also part of it. But yeah, I feel pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So we instruct people, that was just 60 seconds, but when we instruct people to do it for 2 or 3 minutes consecutively, they really get into that deep flow state, like the Matrix films where you have bullet time. Everything slows down and you really begin to feel your awareness and your presence very, very keenly, even though it's effortless. There's no effort involved on your part because of the extra release of brain chemicals. That's what allows you to do that.
No, it makes sense because this flow expert Stephen Kotler, he defines one way he defines flow is like from the neurochemical perspective, and he says it's a combination of 5 different neurochemicals: dopamine, serotonin, endorphin, anandamide, and I can't name them all, but yeah, and maybe that's what's going on here too. Is you're kind of releasing all of these neurochemicals simultaneously, and that is flow.
Correct. And also the vagus nerve as well.
Yeah, and the vagus nerve. Yeah, there's lots of pieces. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're using this with people who have ADHD, ADD, bipolar, schizophrenia, insomnia. With people with insomnia, they've tried the Wim Hof for insomnia. It doesn't help them because it's more of an energizing one. That Andrew Huberman one, they say it doesn't necessarily help them get to sleep. It does, but it could take 10 to 15 minutes. This one helps people within 30 to 90 seconds. They just fall asleep and they don't wake up for 6 hours.
Interesting, because I'm also trying to split apart this from Andrew Huberman's physiological side. There are a lot of similarities and overlaps, but there are some subtle differences. With his technique, you do 2 or 3 quick inhales, like kind of like what you're doing. Maybe it's different, and you can expand on that if the inhales are different. But then the clear difference is the exhale portion. He just has one big, and you have these 2 short to medium duration exhales followed by a longer one at the end. So it's 3. His is his is more like it's 3-1 or a 2-1 or something. But the 1 is really long for him, and yours is 3-3. So yeah, maybe you can split apart the differences or similarities between this and Andrew Huberman's technique, and why you imagine this might be helping people with insomnia or stress or whatever more.
Very good question. Excellent question. Now, the thing is, my background is more metaphysics than pure neuroscience. Because of the metaphysics background, there's a bit more involved in this. So if you know anything about Kundalini and chakras, which if you dive into that world, you'll get to learn about that, a bit more. So at the throat chakra, where you say the ha, the syllable sound for the throat chakra is hum. So that's why people say ha, because it's like ha, 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 like you're laughing, but without the vocal cord. So when you say the ha, the reason why it's so powerful is because your throat chakra has that sound syllable connected to it. And that's why it's a universal sound and a universal effect that everybody feels. We've tried it with people from Africa, India, America, Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, Korea. They all experience the same effect.
What would happen if we changed the sound from, say, for example, like a ha 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 to like a he or who or would that change things?
Doesn't have the same impact.
But could those be useful for other purposes, or just like not really?
Well, we've tried it.
Ha's the best.
Yes, in terms of getting that physiological effect. When women in the UK give birth to babies, the midwife says, say he, who. He, who, he, who. It's again an H sound to dial down the stress, to raise the serotonin and to raise the dopamine so they don't feel the pain of the pushing of the baby. So ours puts it a little bit, makes it easier and more natural with a ha sound. And that helps everything just smoothly. Your nervous system, your physiology, your digestive system, everything just works smoothly in that flow state.
I can imagine there's even better, well, kind of better sounds too. Like there's this om type thing, kind of similar, activating similar chakras or parts of your vocal system, but it's a little bit different from the om. So maybe I'm getting too like nitpicky, like, oh, what's the difference between this and that? But yeah, maybe you could talk about the om versus the ha.
Om is like a cosmic vibration, right? So Om is going on all the time, 24/7. It's the cosmic sound of the cosmic motor. If you believe in God, it's the first word. Om, Amen, Amin, Hum in Tibetan, Om in Hinduism. Om is the primal sound. So if you listen carefully when you're quiet, you'll hear an Om vibration in your ear. Because we're all made in the same image of this sound vibration. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's in the Bible. So we are all made in the vibration of Om. That's why when you sound therapies are so powerful because they work and they vibrate your chakras, and that's why you get an immediate effect. So Om is extremely powerful if you get into that Om vibration.
Would there be a way to breathe with the or is just om the om?
You could just Om the
Oh, so what if we did that? What if we did like a oh, that might be fun.
You could do that. Absolutely.
But that'd be different. But that could do something similar, maybe.
The thing is, when we speak to people, a lot of people are not religious. They are not wanting to get into the yoga tradition.
Oh, it has too much religious stuff associated with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. You can. I do. I love it. Not everyone, lawyers that we coach, entertainers in Hollywood, they don't necessarily want to do all that. They just want to calm down, cure their insomnia, or cure their stress, anxiety, and their depression. They're not worried. They don't want to study religion. They don't want to study metaphysics. They don't want to study yoga. They just want the quick fix. So we give it to them.
And they also like it to be kind of packaged in like a method, 3-3 metaverse breathing method. Okay, that brings up another point. Metaverse, what is that? Is that something I misheard, or what is the metaverse part of this?
Well, meta is beyond. Yeah. And when you do this for 2 or 3 minutes, you really get into a different space. You open up that mental space and you live in that mental space. I'll give you a very clear example. A woman we coach in Dublin, Ireland, very high stress, high stakes business lawyer. She deals with meetings every day. She has to make presentations, pitches to her business colleagues and so on. It's very high stress. And she was suffering from burnout. She couldn't do it anymore after several months of these high stress meetings. She came to us. We walked her through the method, a solid 1 hour, 1.5 hour session. And she started doing the 3-3 method a few minutes before meetings were scheduled. And what she noticed was immediate. She noticed that she was so heavily into flow state that everybody started just nodding their head in agreement with her. And she said, what happened? And I said, when you're in flow state, there's no resistance. All the static is gone. So people know you feel good and they just resonate with your sense of feeling good. And everything goes according to the way you think. So when you say, I hope this goes well, I hope this goes well, I hope this goes well, everything goes well because you're in that flow state.
Yeah, when people hear the word metaverse, they're gonna think VR and AR. But then it does get you thinking. Maybe there are similarities between that metaverse, created by Zuckerberg and friends, and this metaverse sort of inside ourselves. Maybe this is the real one. You don't want to call it a virtual world, but it is sort of a virtual world because it's different from that physical, world we see with our experience with our senses, sort of in our imagination or something. But it is real because it does have impacts on that world out there. But what is the difference between this metaverse and that metaverse? Is that the right word for this?
It is because this is, in a way, with all humility, this is a real metaverse that you can enter into at will. You don't need any extra contrivances to wear. You don't need to buy Oculus 10 or whatever it is. You can do this wherever you are, whenever you want, for many different purposes, to get into flow, to get on better with your husband, your wife, your children. You can have your children do it. Your house will be full of harmony and peace. For real. You don't need to put goggles on. You don't need to put on Facebook. You don't need an Xbox. You don't need a PlayStation.
A completely wireless, free metaverse, and completely accessible to everybody. So that is cool. Yes, it's the ultimate metaverse. I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Metaverse. So beyond the physical universe, get back into your mental space, because that's where we live. Most of our lives are in 90%, 95% in the mind, actually.
Yeah. And so you're kind of like more actively putting us into that metaverse to kind of reshape what we're doing and stuff. Because otherwise, because it's still going on, that metaverse is running in the background, right? But now you're kind of just making things more intentional and getting us more into I guess, the driver's seat up there.
Correct. Consciously enter your own state of flow and control the life the way you want your life to go, according to the way you think.
Okay, and the breathing will help us enter that space?
Always,
Always.
always, without fail. It works every single time.
Yeah. Are there other gateways into that? I know, of course, we can plug in our Oculus or whatever. That's not the same metaverse anyway. That's someone else's metaverse that we're entering. But are there other sort of things we could do, maybe simultaneously or separate from the breathing? Like you had me close my eyes. There might be some other things like that.
There are more advanced techniques, but they require a lot more preparation, and it's probably beyond the scope of what most people will be willing to do.
Yeah, I guess the point of this one is like it's kind of quick and easy, and anyone can just keep it with them in their pocket, basically wherever they go. Yeah.
So you might be wondering, in real life applications, we coach someone today who's a morphine addict, been taking morphine for 15 years, and they're basically almost destroyed their inner organs from the toxic effects of taking morphine for that long. So they came to us, upset, worried, distressed. Family is feeling really bad about her situation. So we walked her through this method, and she could immediately feel like, oh, I'm resting my organs. I'm resting all of this stress. I can now feel better. I feel good. And this is the way to get into the parasympathetic nervous system for rest, digest, recovery, healing, deep sleep. She wasn't sleeping at all. She was scrolling on TikTok every night, for 3 or 4 hours from 2 a.m. till 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, I guess it's the simplicity of it, because we do have a lot of these methods already. Like I mentioned, a couple, the physiological sign. We got the Wim Hof method. There's box breathing. There's Andrew Weil's 3-7-8 breath. The 3-7-8 works pretty well too. And the box breathing is not so bad either. So yeah, how does it improve upon these? Yeah, like I said, it might just be like the simplicity of it, but it could be something else.
It's what it is. I've coached people on the, different methods to box breathing and different, counts, like breathe in for 6, hold for 12, breathe out for 8, and hold for 16. The people that I coach, they never do it outside of the session that I coach them on. They never ever do it because they can't remember the count. It's too complicated. They're not bothered. But the 3-3, everyone who can count to 3 can remember that. Aside from that fun, childlike aspect, it's really powerful for everyone who does it.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing it. I will use it. It did calm me down, and it did actually put me in that sort of metaverse type thing. Like, because I had my eyes closed, and we were talking with our eyes closed for a while, which was really nice. But then I entered that space, but it was like I had the VR on, but there's no software game or whatever running. It was just like the blank black screen, and that was sort of nice. But I wanted to maybe put some application in there. But I guess that's what you do next. You can start to put things in there.
We are actually in talks with various companies now who want to do exactly that.
Okay, so you've got the we've all got the hardware, and you kind of had this sort of a gateway into the metaverse, and then there's companies, I don't know if that's what I want, programming us, but yeah, you can start to be like, okay, I want to run this little program, I want to play with this app. VR has a lot of these already, like little nature spaces and meditation type things, and overcome your fears and education. And but it sounds like this might be something bigger, like little apps that control your body and your movement and your actual like life. You're actually doing something different, feeling different. I mean, your imagination, your metaverse is what controls you. So yeah, if you can get some good apps in there. I don't know if companies doing that, but what kind of companies what are they going to be making? How does that make sense though? Like, how do they get in there?
Well, they will have a tutorial that runs when you press play, and it will walk you through the method.
Oh, it's like some audio you listen to or something.
Audio, video, using sceneries, showing you graphics of how your vitals are doing if you've got a tracker or a watch or a way to track the biometrics. So there's lots of different ways that it can be done. So yeah, it's an exciting time to put this into technology.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely redefining what technology even is too. Because we know we have this technology, this body and this brain, but you don't imagine you can, you're making some application on this or something. You're creating software and putting it into this hardware. Like what? What are you talking about? You need electronics, you need computers and things for that. But you're like, no, you can make apps and software and stuff without computers. That's wacky, but cool. I'm down, but confused as well.
No, you're right. It's neurotechnology. It's neurotechnology. That's what it is.
Yeah, but you're doing it without like it's just really basic stuff like videos and audio and stuff. So there's still some technology like by the standard definition involved with this. It's not just into your mind or something.
No, there's lots of different ways that this is going to be implemented. So audio, video tutorials for children, for schools, for corporates, for moms, for dads, for elderly people. So we're looking at the best ways to deliver that in different formats.
Yeah, like you said, with addiction and bipolar, there's all that kind of stuff too. So you can create different programs or apps or whatever for different purposes for different people. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Correct. Because when you get into flow state, it's also called in psychology speak neuroplasticity. So when you're in that neuroplastic state, you can make all kinds of changes in the way you code your thinking. So if you're addicted to drugs or you're addicted to alcohol or you're addicted to, with all respect, you might be hating on your wife and you beat her up or whatever it is, you can change and recode your thinking process in that neuroplastic window or in flow state. That's where the coaching element comes in. Change your thinking, have better responses, and then you can change your life in that plastic window. So it's not difficult. You just need to be willing to look at those opportunities to change and like plasticine, mold it the way you want it in that state, plastic mind.
Okay, so one step of the process is entering that space, or it's almost like getting into becoming lucid, like entering. I'm lucid dreaming now. You're lucid dreaming. Cool. Now you know you're lucid dreaming. You know you're dreaming. Okay, cool. But then the hard step is like, okay, now what do I do? Now that I'm lucid dreaming, what can I do? What do I do? And a lot of times when I'm lucid dreaming, I will you kind of frozen sometimes, or you're like indecisive and you're like, and there's no action. You don't know what to do. And then the program just shuts down and you wake up. But here you're like, okay, now you can start to do things in that lucid dream. You could start to do things in that neuroplastic state and start to reprogram things.
So if you have terrible relationship with your wife or with your husband, vice versa, whichever, you can say in that neuroplastic window, I have a wonderful relationship with my husband. I have a wonderful relationship with my wife. I have a wonderful relationship with my wife. And that affirmation will change and code your reaction when you come out of flow state, that you now react differently to your spouse or your kids or your colleagues at work, whatever.
Yeah, it reminds me also of I did a couple interviews on Yoga Nidra, and in Yoga Nidra you have this intention at the beginning and at the end, and then it's like you believe it more through the process. I guess in that Yoga Nidra state, maybe it also entering this space as well.
Correct. Exactly. I've studied yoga nidra for years. Yeah. Yeah. It all comes from Vedanta, Michael. Vedanta is metaphysics, the highest cosmology you can get on this planet. If you get into that, you'll find all this knowledge.
It's fun to be skeptical and be like, oh, like, sciencey, but it's sort of happier to be living in a more beautiful world. I want to live in a more beautiful, connected, kind of metaphysical, spiritual, some more beautiful world where people are happy and stuff, and I'm happy. But I also want to like understand things and prove things and have science. But it's almost like the more you kind of let go of like science, you do kind of sometimes be happier, like just like believing things that you can't necessarily prove or measure or explain. This is weird balance for me. I think I deep down maybe want to enter this space, but at the same time, I was like, ugh, is it even real? Is it even true? And maybe I should stop even worrying about truth and start worrying more about like what makes me feel good. But I don't know. Do I want to live purely in the metaverse? I want to kind of live in the real world too. And I guess you can bridge the two together, but I'm worried that if I get too deep into my metaverse or that metaverse, in this normal physical world measured by science, they're going to say that's not real. That is virtual reality. But maybe it's a happier world. VR can make us happier. But I think what you're saying is, yeah, it's virtual reality, but it's reality. And then this physical world out here, maybe it's real too. But it does get you questioning what even reality is at this point. What is virtual reality?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Well said. But the thing is, you want to say to yourself, what is real? What is not real? What is for me real? I like the world of dreams. I like the world of infinity. I like the world of imagination and you're unlimited. I prefer that. Even though I live in the physical world, I understand it because I use my mind to navigate it. But I do not use my senses as the final arbiter of my perception because they're false. They're limited. They belong to the primal brain, primate body, the primate brain, and that does not give you the correct perception.
That's right. And every animal, no animal has complete perception anyway through the senses. The senses are always limited. Science will agree with this too. So I guess the question is what is real? Because you want to feel happy and you want to feel like you're doing things that are good for yourself and good for others or whatever. But you also want it to feel like it's real. If you feel like what I'm doing and what I'm living, my life is not. Like Robert Nozick, this philosopher, did this experiment or this sort of thought experiment where it's like, okay, would you rather live? The question is like, would you rather live in this sort of perfect world of if all your dreams come true, but you're in virtual reality? You can live in this virtual reality, but it's perfect, customized to you. Or you can live in this world and it's not perfect. Maybe you're happy, you're not happy, and things are not going the way you want them to go. But it's real. And like he says that people choose reality over happiness or perfection. But I guess that's sort of the point. The point is people do care about reality. So I think that's what scares people away from religion and things like this sometimes too, is like, yeah, I want this, but deep down I'm going to choose reality over happiness or anything else. Maybe not everybody, but if you could find a way to show that this is real, then it's like, okay, cool. I can live in this world and have my little desire for reality fulfilled as well. That would be perfect. But it's hard to get to for everybody. Yeah. Like you said, for yourself, it took you a long time to get to that point.
There is an evolutionary game going on here. I hope you realize that, right? And that game is whether you take it from your original religion or faith or wherever you get it from. The strangest thing is this. I'll tell you a little story. When I was young, I was on a train in London. It's noisy. People were miserable looking at their newspapers, and I was just looking around, right? Okay, I was listening to music. A voice, you're not going to believe this. You can believe it or not, but, with all respect, I'm sharing with you because you're getting into this deep stuff. So I'm going to say, okay, I'll share it with one. I had a voice came out of nowhere and said to me, there is an evolutionary axis in man, right? I'm like, who said that? What do you mean evolutionary axis in man? I had no idea what that meant until I realized that the evolutionary axis of man is this spine with the chakras and kundalini. So whether I like it or I don't, I have this. Whether you like it or you don't, you have this. And it's in you, and you are full of power and energy and strength that you cannot believe. You have it already. Because you did not design this world. You did not design the template of the human body. Something higher than us did that. So you're playing in a game that he decided to create. And if you understand how the game works, you can decide what level of reality you want to play at. Yeah. I play here now. I play at this chakra, the heart chakra, because the lower three chakras are full of confusion, conflict, war, greed, hatred, ignorance. It's horrible. It's horrible. I don't like fighting with people. I don't like conflict. I like to live a harmonious, happy, peaceful life. And I do that from the heart chakra because there's no conflict there. Peace. Peaceful. It's happy. It's visionary. And it's beautiful. And that's how I live. I see that way now because I'm in the heart chakra. 10 years ago, I was in the stomach chakra, nothing but headache, conflict. And I said, why am I so unhappy? Is it the world? Is it people? Or is it me? And I realized it was me. I'm still playing at the low level. I need to lift myself up. That's what I do.
That's interesting. And you can shift. I noticed myself, like right now when I do this podcast, I more enter my heart chakra a little bit. Sometimes I don't, but like you and talking to some people kind of helps, I think, sync that up in myself. But then you should look at me out here, especially in these Vietnamese streets where it's just like chaos and disorder, and like I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting pissed off at people sometimes. I'm getting snappy and irritable. And like, what? I'm like making this podcast about brain health, and then I'm walking around like getting all irritated at people and stuff. Like I'd be like an asshole kind of sometimes. I'm like, what is happening to me? But then I talk to you and do these breathing techniques and kind of recenters me. So it's weird. I'm like, wow, I'm like two different people sometimes.
This is the push and pull conflict between the stomach chakra and the heart chakra. When you're in your peaceful space, you're in the heart chakra. When you go outside in the sensory world, you get pulled down again. You come into the peace, you go up, and you go outside, you get pulled down, up and down, up and down.
So it's not completely my fault. It's part of the external world, the sensory, that outdoor space, certain outdoor spaces, an environment does kind of trigger things too. It's not just like my weakness or something.
It does, but what you need to do is you need to fully more center yourself in your heart chakra 24/7 so that you're never disturbed by external things.
Okay, so even I'm going through these annoying streets or whatever, with annoying people or whatever, I can deliberately like pull myself back into my heart. Okay.
Correct.
But if I don't, if I just am out there and I'm not like conscious of it, then I'm just going to slip into my stomach or whatever. Okay. And that's what's happening. Yeah.
Exactly. I know, because I went through the same thing, right? And it's horrible. I don't like it.
But you don't really like it, but you kind of like it because it's like you feel like you're better or something. You feel like you're smarter. Like they're stupid and I'm great. But then you're alone and you don't feel good. It's very stressful. But you kind of like it weirdly. It's like certain drugs. People get addicted to these drugs. They don't really like them, but they kind of like them, but they don't like them. It's like a smartphone or a cocaine or something.
Well, if you're in Vietnam, you can always find spiritual communities and people who are yoga instructors or yoga schools. Then you will always stay in your heart space when you're with other people who vibrate at the same frequency.
Well, what I did, there's that, but also I just changed the city. I was in Hanoi, and that was getting pulling me into my stomach, I guess. The city of the stomach. Now, even within Hanoi, you can find those people, yeah. But then what I did is, a couple hours outside of Hanoi, there's Ninh Binh, where I'm now, and it's just full of nature, really old temples, beautiful rivers and landscapes, and you're in nature, and it's got these temples and things everywhere. So it's just the space itself, and it's less crowded, etc. That's something I did too, to just change the actual world that you're in.
It's Buddhist, right?
Yeah, it's Buddhist. Yeah, it's got Buddhism, maybe a little bit of Taoism, but it's largely Buddhist, I think. But I'm not an expert. Only been here a few days so far, but yeah.
Yeah, I've studied Tibetan Buddhism for 8 years. So I totally appreciate the Buddhist, because Buddha came from India, right? Which is my original homeland. So It's the same philosophy.
Yeah, but is there anything you miss about your previous life, and the other chakras or whatever?
I'm aiming to go up to the throat chakra.
What do you mean you're aiming to get there? How do you so you're basically in a different chakra, and the lower it is,
The lower is the more disturbed and unhappy you are.
and then you do it through
Pranayama, breathing method.
pranayama, through breathing.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect if that's the way into it. That's perfect because that's something I feel like I can do. That sounds doable.
And the reason why the world is so confused is because the vast majority of population, maybe 85%, are stuck in the two lower chakras beneath the belly. So the reproductive one, where they're obsessed with sex, and the lower one, which is obsessed with food and the senses and the very low kind of mindset, which doesn't aspire to move anywhere. So you have those people too.
Yeah, and we do kind of cycle through, like you do into your head chakra or something sometimes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do.
Yeah, you get to all, and sometimes you fall down into the lower ones. Like, so it's not like we're only this person is this one, this person's that one. But I guess it's a general sort of way we tend to be. And what you mean is like you want to be up here more. And you want that to be your home or whatever.
Exactly. Emotional home, my default. I don't want to fall down here because people up here, then I'm never in conflict. I'm never fighting with anyone. I'm always peaceful. I'm always having understanding. I can hug everyone, no problem. I can solve problems and be a peacemaker, no problem. It doesn't matter who it is, because we're all vibrational beings. We all vibrate at different frequencies. As long as you keep your frequency raised, you can see life so much easier within your own mind, and you don't need to worry about anything. But when you're still stuck in the lower chakras, it's nothing but conflict, headache, pull, push. There's no end to the struggle. It's horrible. You die like that. Most people die that way. It's not good. It's not good. So you want to raise yourself higher while you're alive, do these practices, and then start to see and appreciate life, what it really is.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's almost like a neurochemical. You can almost map these chakras onto neurochemicals. You imagine too a little bit. How would these chakras sort of map onto neurochemicals, things like dopamine, serotonin, etc.? I imagine some of these lower chakras are more dopaminergic, and serotonin is kind of getting up here, but it's a weird combination of them or something. I don't know because the head chakra you also do need dopamine. And there are other neurochemicals, anandamide, and endorphins, and epinephrine, etc.
Well, what it is, I actually coined a phrase, believe it or not, called endocrinochemical, because our endocrine glands, they reflect our emotions, and we live in a certain space of our predominant emotions, right? So if you can learn to cleanse or purify or make positive those emotions like anger, hatred, greed, lust, all the emotions, attachment, if you can learn to purify them on a higher plane with positive energy, then you start to notice this increase of energy could move up your spine and you feel on a higher, more elevated plane. And so we call it endocrine journey because it's an endocrinochemical journey. It's not that you're moving anywhere. It's all an emotional journey within yourself, right? When you die, there's a god called the god of death in Hindu philosophy, or this is universal. He's called Yamaraja, god of death. They have grim moon power and different equivalents for the same in every religion or every background. And he's going to ask you, what did you learn on earth? What did you do? What did you learn? And what did you do for other people? And there's a reason for that because you haven't been anywhere. It's all an emotional journey within yourself. You haven't been anywhere. If you say you ran here, you went there, you didn't go anywhere. You're actually within yourself at home all the time. When he shows you that, you'll face palm yourself in heaven and say, oh, what an idiot. I should have just worked on myself and then everything would have been cool.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like you haven't gone anywhere. You're just sitting still your whole life, and like you're running around and doing things and everything. But sometimes, like, I do feel like, I am different from when I was a child, but what have I really done? Another kind of, I know I'm asking very basic questions, and it's time to go. But you've opened up this whole, new little world for me that I wasn't deliberately going into, but now I'm enjoying it. You said you want to get up to the throat chakra, and now you're kind of more in the heart chakra. Well, what's the difference?
Okay. So heart chakra is wonderful for peace, for getting along with people, for understanding people. When I was younger, I was so confused because I had to deal with the school system that I was given, and I had to ask people questions, and people didn't have answers to me. Who am I? Where am I going? What is life about? Have you heard of the evolutionary axis? People say, what are you talking about? It doesn't exist. I'm like, hang on a minute. I heard a voice in my head that says it does exist. So what do I do? Do I follow people? Do I follow myself? What do I do? So I started realizing that it's up to me to lift my vibration up. So I got to the heart, which means no conflict now with anyone ever. Done. Right. I can't stand fighting with people. Like I need to understand. If I'm not understanding, then I feel agitated. So for me, I need to understand people, what their needs are, why they're upset, what they're trying to do to solve the problem. Are they causing it themselves intentionally, unintentionally? Can I help them with some wisdom to iron it out? As a relationships coach, that's what I do every day. So I like being in the heart chakra because it helps me appreciate the level at which people are at in terms of their understanding of themselves and other people. So from there, I want to go to the throat chakra to learn to communicate more cosmological life, karma, metaphysics in a way that's easy for people to integrate into their own understanding and then solve more problems and talk about higher perceptions and human potential and do that with a way that's genuine and magnetic. So it impresses people's minds.
So it's like connected to your voice and your creation and that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's called Udana Prana. It's a type of prana which is a life force. And this prana is very powerful in the tradition of teaching people verbally and impressing their minds with your wisdom.
Okay, that makes sense. Because sometimes you want to make something. I mean, it's nice being. It's nice being and loving and connecting, but you want to kind of produce something and have some kind of effect on the world. And maybe the throat chakra is helping you take that action and express things through your words. But it maybe also it might be connected to your hands and other parts of your body too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, the throat chakra, the Udana Prana helps make an impression on people's minds. So when I speak to 1,000, 10,000 people, I would like that effort that I'm putting forth to impress people's minds with the genuine wisdom that I perceive as real energy.
Interesting. So I wonder if animals have chakras?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do they have all the chakras? They have all of them, or they're kind of limited to certain lower ones only, or?
Yeah, they normally are able to operate, sort of fairly nominal level. But if you believe in reincarnation and all that kind of thing, there's all different levels of chakra openings at different times for different reasons. So, animals are very sentient. If you look at them carefully, you say a dog is wagging his tail, he's happy to see you. Or is he trying to talk to me, right? He's trying to talk to me with his emotion, if you can pick it up, like a cat. Certain animals have more sentiency the higher you go up the evolutionary chain. Elephants, giraffes, dolphins, dogs, definitely. That's why people love having dogs. So there's this higher and higher level of sentiency the higher up the evolutionary axis you go.
Okay, so maybe you can teach me about these different chakras from, I guess, from the stomach or lower, and then up to the top.
Sure, sure. So basically, most people, probably 80% of the world, are stuck in the two lower chakras. They're called Muladhara and Svadhisthana. So that's the kind of sensual sexual plane and also the plane of food and just physical sensory desires, very basic kind of drives. And then when you move to the Manipura chakra, the stomach chakra, you look to expand your power and your influence and your wealth and your status and those kinds of things. But it's still a lot of conflict, a lot of ego, a lot of selfishness, backstabbing. It's not the most harmonious place because they still prize the ego above everything else. But when you go past that into the heart chakra, you move into a plane of neutrality where you just want to see the truth. You just want to understand. You want to gather real wisdom that is enduring, that is not based on human opinion. That's very, very important because then you're looking to how to create real value with real results and real people, breed understanding, and be on that plane where you feel good, where you're not conflicting yourself and you're not sleeping badly because you're backstabbing others or you're trying to make others lose at your own gain. You want win-win. You go for win-win. Win-win is always healthy. Everyone's smiling then. Yeah, win-win. So that's the whole chakra. So when you get to the throat chakra, it's about impressing people with your wisdom using what's called Udana Prana. It's a specific life force that enables you to convey wisdom through your voice, through your speech. So in the old days, gurus teach students via word of mouth transmission. They didn't use endless books and email and internet. They used voice, which is a very powerful way to impress the children's minds with the correct ideas. When you do that, you can talk to 10,000, 100,000, even 1 million people with your voice, and people will be impressed by what you say. This is extremely important because they become living seeds that they build habits around and then change their life according to what you say. So that's where I'm moving towards the throat chakra, to be able to impress more people in a short period of time and create a bigger impact in the world before I die. After that, after you've gone past the throat chakra, you reach the Ajna, third eye chakra. There, everything again changes on a whole nother level because now you transcend time and space. So you can also see the past, present, and future all at the same time. Because when you're here, you now transcend all the limitations of matter, mind over matter. You become a knower of what they call Trikaldashi, which means knower of the past, the present, and the future, all at the same time. Because everything is happening in the mind, nowhere else. And the mind is infinite and it has no time and space, actually. The body relates to time and space, but the mind has no time and space. So you have to become cognizant of the contents of the cosmic mind. And then you can instinctively, intuitively, quickly understand everything about everything. When you have questions and you ask them through your concentration, you get immediate answers from the cosmos, whether it's about aliens on other universes, whether it's about humans, whether it's about society, whether it's about governments, whatever it is, you can find out instantly. That's what the yogis in the Himalayas do. So these yogis, they have reached here and they're sitting there. They don't go anywhere, but they know everything. And they can also use their astral body to travel anywhere in the universe in a second. So if you've seen Avatar, the Airbender, and you've seen these cartoons and things about the new powers they have, once you reach here, you now have the ability to walk on water like Jesus. You now have the ability to transcend all material media. So you can turn loaves and fish and multiply them and do all those things, right? Once you reach here, the crown chakra, the Sahasrara, is called 1,000-petaled lotus of light. It's nirvana, which is what Buddha reached, final enlightenment, end of everything. You don't need to do anything else once you reach there. It's the end summum bonum of your entire existence. You evolve back to your original condition of omniscience, which means all-knowing. So once you reach that state, you just live, and your being contains everything you could ever want within yourself. And you have access to everything you could ever want. And you can fix any problem, and there's nothing you cannot do.
And you can reach that as a living being. You don't need to die to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the whole point of life. The whole point of life is to reach that.
And then we keep living. We can keep living.
You're immortal. Once you reach that, you're immortal, you're eternal, and there's nothing else for you to do. Just to exist and be powerful and omnipotent.
Yeah. And breathing techniques, pranayama can help get us there. Of course, there are other things we can do, maybe have to do to get there as well. But breathing, like the method you taught us, but there are others, can be a way upward.
Yes, but this method is specifically helpful because it helps you remove the static of mind, so you can use your intuition to go deep into your mind and see what's really in there. So if you don't have, it's like a ripple in a pond. If you throw a pebble in and it ripples, it disturbs the mind. But if it's calm, you can see right down to the bottom. So when you can do that, you can feel your intuition talk to you more within the silence. When you tune into that, you get wisdom that transcends society. You get wisdom that transcends the limited ego understanding, conflict. You get past all that. But without delving into the silence, you can't reach that level because there's too much static in the way. So when the mind is calm with this pranayama, you can see right through yourself and see what is going on in terms of your thought seeds that are causing circumstances in your life, and you can change them.
That's nice. And with your 3-3 metaverse breathing method, can we reach that? Can we reach that final point?
Yeah, no, you can elevate up the chakras. You'll need to also exercise selflessness. You have to get away from selfishness. You have to learn to give up your ego. You have to learn that there's a higher power. Gently, bit by bit, you need to educate yourself from within to let go of the lower attachments, and embrace the higher frequencies and the higher vibrations. For most people, it takes lives, 10 lives, 20 lives, 30 lives, 100 lives. But for us who are small, we'll say, okay, I want to practice as much as possible so I don't have to go through headache and strife and conflict in my next life. So you can invest the time now and energy now to save yourself future hassle.
Great. If people want to connect or learn more, where can they go?
The best place would be keepfitkingdom.com, the website. And there's a tab on the page called the 3-3 products. So if they go there, they can find out the tutorial of the 3-3 metaverse breathing method that we did. They can buy and download the tutorial. There's also lots of video testimonials and testimonials from the NHS, the National Health Service, Novartis, a huge medical company, as well as Oracle, which is Larry Ellison's software company. They're all amazed at how powerful this method is. So they're all doing it. We're teaching it corporately, and people WhatsApp us all the time, email us. You can, any questions, you can let us know. We can give you private one-to-one sessions or group sessions, Zoom call sessions, however you want. Absolutely fine. Just email us or WhatsApp us. That's the best way.
All right, cool. Thank you, Raj. I appreciate you being with me here today. Everything you've taught me. Yeah, I'm really excited to start going down this little chakra path upward, hopefully upward. But I'll go down here and there. But yeah, thanks, Raj. Yeah, keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michael. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.